I am done with school, have a good job, and a girlfriend who lives with her parents. I feel pressure from my peers and society to move out. What am I missing out on by living with my parents in my mid-20s? Story 1. Someone who has moved out and moved back into my parents' place. There's nothing quite like having your own space where you can do what you like, have the place set up however you want, and so on. It gives a level of freedom that is, to me, the epitome of freedom. You just have choices, especially if you are in a city. You can have friends over. You have a place to shut out everyone if needed. Something to take pride in. But on the other hand, since moving back briefly before moving career and city, it does have its benefits. 12-hour turnaround of laundry, nothing quite like a fridge at your parents'. It's cheap. My dog has more people to be around, and it's close to friends. Both have their pros and cons. I'd definitely try it, if only for a few months if I were you. Obviously, it comes with the financial responsibility of paying bills and rent, which can be stressful if you lose your job and so on. Roommates can be awesome for 6 months and then turn into difficult people. Story 2, you're getting a lot of advice here, but there's an independent aspect that comes with having your own space that you should really consider. I would really say you don't know who you are until you make a space for yourself and have to decorate a room or manage your own diet, budget, and routine. The idea that ships are safe in a harbor, but that's not the purpose of ships, comes to mind. Story 3. Pure freedom and having your own space. Trust me, until you are ready to get married or have a girlfriend move in with you, nothing beats living on your own, in my opinion. Story 4. Peer pressure and society shouldn't be the reason for you to move out. In my part of the world, Asia, the culture is family-oriented, so there is nothing wrong with living with your parents. The trade-off for freedom is mom's food and dad's advice. Whatever makes you happy should be your choice. Story 5. Depends on your situation and your parents. My parents were cool as they let me have my freedom and my own end of the house until I was ready to move out. Yes, I paid a monthly rent and share of the utilities. They never got in my business and I helped them take care of the chores while living there. I moved back home for a few months after my marriage failed until I got back on my feet. Living at home can save you a lot of money, depending on whether or not your parents charge you rent and expenses and how much they charge you. I saved a lot of money and moved out to a nice place with a brand new car. Everyone's situation, I imagine, would be different. Story 6. Getting drunk and then making love to your partner on the couch while the TV is blasting, then walking around naked afterward with semen dripping, and your partner lying there naked in a post-orgasmic rest, telling you to go have a shower first because she needs a little rest. Story 7. Being able to use the bathroom with the door open and a general sense of freedom and privacy. I experienced living by myself for 6 weeks once, and I dream of being able to go back to that state one day. Story 8. One of my favorite things when I was in my mid-20s is when I lived alone between the ages of 23 and 27. I would go out and meet new friends. After a night of clubbing or bar hopping, or whatever it was that we did that evening, I would always offer the person or group to come back to my house. More often than not, their reply was, "Your parents don't mind?" And I always had a grin when I said, "I live alone." Women loved it, and the men couldn't understand how I didn't have roommates. It was insanely fun. Now that I'm 30, though, I don't miss waking up to a house full of strangers. Story 9. Privacy, sex, but what I haven't seen listed here is general adulting skills. I've seen too many people who live with their parents for too long and have no idea how to run a household of their own. Even if you do your own laundry, cooking, and cleaning, managing your own place is still a good stepping stone before buying a house. Living in different spots helps you realize what you need and don't need in a home, too, and what your deal breakers are. I think it's important to move out for a bit before buying a home or getting married for this reason. Story 10. If you and your parents get along well and they give you a measure of privacy, there's nothing wrong with it. You should be paying some kind of room and board and helping with upkeep inside and outside to help prepare you for the reality of moving out. And if you're not saving a lot of money, you're doing it wrong. I moved out the first time at 18. I was back in with my parents twice, once when I was in a motorcycle crash and needed to rehabilitate, and once when I was laid off from a construction job. I saved enough for a nice truck plus a down payment on a house. I liked being out on my own for the freedom of doing what I wanted, when I wanted, I had a good circle of friends and female friends. It was a great experience. Story 11. Clothing is optional. It's pretty peaceful and quiet. You have to clean the whole place alone, though, which isn't fun, but you only have to clean after one person, which is great. You can have whoever you want over whenever, and no one would say a thing because there isn't anyone to complain. Though I still wouldn't hurry out because living with family can be good too. Story 12. I am in the same boat as you. I have a great paying job, and although I am saving money by staying with my parents, I would like to experience living on my own. It is a trade-off. Financial freedom for individual freedom. Story 13. In many cultures, it's normal to live with your parents until your late 20s or early 30s. This move out by 18 is something modern, made up by mostly Western cultures, and not sustainable for many people. If you're comfortable and it works out, you should keep living there and save your money to buy a flat or house. Story 14. Cripplingly high rents, predatory new acquaintances, and privacy. Enjoy your time at home and with your family, and congratulations on landing a girlfriend. If you decide to move out, don't do it because your peers tell you to. Story 15. Inviting girls over whenever you want and being able to cook late at night and listen to music with them. Coming in and out of the house when you want. Using the microwave at night. Grow weed or mushrooms. Story 16. Very subjective question that will be different for everyone. Unless you are in a tough situation at home, disregard societal pressures, do what is financially responsible and will set you up for a better future. Not living at home feels great, but living on a tight budget is not. Story 17. You are missing out on reducing your 401k contribution to spend on rent and work until you die. I graduated and got a good job. Lived at home until almost 30. I am in my early 30s with a wife and 2 kids and one on the way. My wife and kids have everything they want. We have 2 new cars that are paid off. I have well into 6 figures in my 401k. In contrast, my friends who moved out and paid rent and all that told me they couldn't afford to save or start a 401k. They started a 401k in their early 30s and will never be able to come close to what I will have. They also have car payments and don't have enough savings to handle an emergency. Ignore what other people are saying and only move out when you are ready to. Story 18. I'm in the same boat. I love my parents. They're not going to be around forever. In the blink of an eye, 5 years will pass, 10 years will pass. We all get caught up in our own lives and regret not having spent more time with loved ones until it's too late. Hang tight. Build up your savings for a down payment on a house. Spend time with them. I'm sure they're happy to have you. Story 19. I am in my mid-20s and I live with my mom. There is nothing morally wrong with it. It can be mutually beneficial, especially financially. I disagree with the cultural expectation to move out, but having your own space is something special. This lady has some interesting things to say about the issue. Story 20. You are depriving yourself of the struggle it takes to live on your own. You need to allow yourself to stop depending on the safety net of your parents. Also, you probably still see yourself as a kid living with your parents, and that probably needs to stop. I'm not saying all of this as someone who despises adults living with their parents. There are real benefits to it, but I think you are holding yourself back by not taking the next step into adulthood. Story 21. Nothing. I live with my parents, and when I finish my education and secure a job, I wish to live with them. If possible, I want to buy my own house and bring them to stay with me. They are a big part of my life, and whatever little success I may have, it's all due to them. I look forward to the day when I can proudly contribute to the family finances. As for adventures and trips, I enjoy them a lot. I go on solo trips, treks, camps, or team up with friends. Having parents at home isn't much of a trouble to me. Story 22. I'm 30, moved out and moved back in a few years ago. I'd say the only thing you're missing is the freedom to do what you want with your space and the low stress from living with others. I have been saving up and getting ready to build a house for me and my parents, except they will be in their own apartment on the other side of the house while I'll have the entire house to myself. I'll have the best of both worlds. Story 23. If you are going to live with your parents, you need to demand absolute freedom outside of the house. Living under the control of your parents will stunt your growth as an individual. Save money and have fun if you are going to live with them. But if they are telling you that you cannot go to certain places and have curfews, leave. Story 24. You are missing out on crippling debt, expensive laundering costs, and scraping together pennies for a meal that's not even home-cooked. Missing out on loneliness. Stay with your parents as long as you can. Accumulate all you can while you live there. Save, save, save. And learn as much as you can from them. Ask about the taxes on the house. Ask them about daily expenses and what needs to be done in order for the house to run on a month-to-month basis, like utilities and mortgages. Ask about the main electrical panel and if there are any sub-panels. Learn what each breaker does. Find out what kind of heating system you have. How does the house get domestic hot water? Is there a leaching field? Well, water? Stay home. Learn everything you can. If you feel bad about staying there, then pitch in and help more or get a part-time job and maybe buy groceries once a month. You have an opportunity here at home to really learn and ask as much as you want. If you leave, you'll just be paying someone else's mortgage for them and really won't have the opportunity to save up for your own house or learn that much about what it takes to run one. Take your time and hug your family a lot. Story 25. Literally, you are missing out on bills, that's it. My sister, who is a year younger than me, still lives with our parents, and she realistically has way more fun than I do because she can actually afford to go out. Seriously, save your money to buy a home, get a fun hobby or something, go out while you can. I regret moving out at 19 so much just because I wanted to be grown. Story 26. I have experienced both. I moved out for school and ended up moving back home after a breakup, and let me tell you, there is nothing more freeing than being able to be responsible or irresponsible without input from your family. If this housing market would just crash already, I would be able to buy my own house to scratch my freedom itch. Story 27. Not being around your parents and getting away from their influence doesn't imply your parents are bad, but a lot of childhood thought patterns will stay in place while you are there. A lot of assumptions you have made about yourself will be reinforced. Moving out can help create a more independent self-identity apart from the decades of patterns established at home. Story 28. If you want to save money to invest in a house, I see no problem, especially if you have a great relationship with your family. However, being out of the nest is great. You can do whatever you want, bring anyone over, and have the freedom without having to consider someone who is older. Overall, do what makes you happy. Story 29. Living on your own is great, but save as much money as you can. Fear of missing out can lead to a lot of issues. If you have a good life, don't go searching for something different. The grass isn't always greener. Story 30. It depends on what you value. I moved out at 27, I'm now 30, and my girlfriend is 25 and still living with her parents. We have this conversation pretty often. I value my privacy and my freedom to do the things I want to do. Whether that's play some video games, have my Dungeons and Dragons crew over until 2 in the morning, or even cook fish. Something my mom forbade at home because she hates the smell of fish. The freedoms I've gotten living on my own have allowed me to grow in ways I wouldn't be able to living at home. My girlfriend, on the other hand, saves so much money living at home that even though I make more than her, we joke that she's the rich one. She can buy all the things she wants, never worries about food, and has a large retirement saved up way before her peers. I don't have as much money as I would living at home, and my girlfriend definitely has friction with her family and their expectations of her. But there are downsides to everything in life. Figure out what it is you value more and go with your gut. Don't let others make you feel pressure for a decision that only you can make. Story 31. If you're best friends with them, nothing. If you're not, peace of mind. Does it outweigh the bills? It depends on how important money is to you. Don't give in to any pressure. You've grown, act like it. Want to stay at home? Then stay at home. If you decide to move out, see if you can buy a house. Story 32. Depends on what kind of parents you have. If you're happy, you're not missing out on anything. My parents' beliefs and lifestyle are at odds with mine, so I couldn't be happy living with them in my 20s. Story 33. The feeling of being looked down upon for living with your parents is being replaced by being looked down upon for being broke. The freedom to enjoy your space, which your parents probably miss constantly. Your poor, grumpy dad is in a constant battle, having held back for the last quarter century. Story 34. Maybe a little more privacy, that depends on where you move. Other than that, not much. People used to talk down to me for living in my parents' basement suite. Basement-dwelling nerd. Still lives with mommy and daddy. In reality, my parents gave me a great deal. British Columbia, Canada, prices are horrible. I had my own area. In every other way, I was completely independent. So my answer was this. I put 3/4 of my wages into savings and investments. I have no debt, and 2 reliable people on whom I can depend right upstairs. It's nice to pay a little back to my parents for what they did for me all these years. I have my own entrance, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and den. Half the stuff here I helped my dad renovate, so I know this place inside and out in case of problems. Your situation probably isn't exactly the same, but I bet we have a few things in common. In some cultures, kids stay with their parents much longer, and you can really get ahead in life with less of a financial burden. So other than more privacy and the ill-perceived opinion of a few, I can't really see any downside.